What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the internet where your cesspool is my jacuzzi. My name is Neidigh. If you've seen my channel before, you probably know I am a psychiatric evaluator. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not even a therapist, because honestly, all of those career paths sounded absolutely terrible to me. What I do is work with the licensed physicians in the emergency room with patients who are in acute psychiatric crisis or patients who present to the hospital seeking psychiatric help. The doctor consults my office, I go do an initial psych evaluation on the patient, and I work with them to figure out if we need to keep that patient on an involuntary psychiatric hold, or if the patient can be safely discharged to a less restrictive level of care. I've worked on different psychiatric units, and I've worked in different outpatient settings as well in the past. I wanted to give you that context because I want to make it clear that, like I said, I'm not a doctor. Nothing that I say on my YouTube channel should ever be taken as medical advice, but also because I want you to know that these are my opinions based on my experience and what I've learned about interpersonal relationships and crises and all manner of things that I've dealt with in my career. You can take that subjective opinion and compare it to what some internet psychologists are saying about the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively saga, and you can form your own opinions. The latest in this legal saga between Blake and Justin is a voice note that Justin is said to have sent Blake at 2 a.m. What caught my attention was people overusing and irresponsibly using words like love bombing, like narcissist, like gaslighting, and those things, in my opinion, they really just don't apply here. Personally, I believe that a lot of TikTok therapists, a lot of TikTok psychologists, they use these words that appear to a large viewer base because a lot of people kind of relate their own situations to that. There's a lot of projecting that happens there. There's also a lot of people who read these things and they're probably like, oh my God, that was totally my situation. And they may be right. My point is, I feel like these words are widely overused because it draws in viewers, because that's what people want to hear. I think we're all guilty of kind of projecting our own experiences onto different things on the internet. I know I am sometimes. So I'm going to show you the text that was sent, the voice note that Justin sent in response, and then an internet psychologist who decided that Justin was gaslighting and love bombing. And I'm going to explain to you why I think that psychologist is wrong. Before I get into it, I need to say everyone should be respectful of differing opinions, especially here. If I see people being disrespectful, attacking people's character in the comments and stuff like that, I'm probably just going to delete it. I'm no longer going to respond to comments that attack my personal character, because the truth is, at the end of the day, none of us know these celebrities. This is a public interest case involving two very well-known public figures, and each side kind of puts out what supports their own narrative, and so you can form an opinion based on what's presented to you, but none of us know the whole story. So I can only tell you what I think based on what I'm seeing, and same for anyone else. Now, if you disagree with me, or if you disagree with someone on their opinion on this, that doesn't really make them disgusting. I think the overuse of some of these therapy terms is pretty gross, but it's actually a wider problem. I don't think it's this specific person, doing anything disgusting and unethical. I just think they're wrong about it. So I want to be very clear. I'm not going to attack this doctor. I'm not, interested in shaming her in any way. I just want to discuss why I disagree with her opinion. And let's remember that doctors, especially, doctors who are not really working on their own cases, they're talking about stuff on the internet, they get it wrong too sometimes. So you decide for yourself what you think. So here's the text from Blake in question that he was responding to. And let's realize that Blake sent this to him at like a late hour or early hour in the morning. And so Justin responding at a weird time, really not that out of pocket. She says, as for Redacted and Ryan, and Redacted for that matter, I'm the luckiest motherfucker on the planet to have them as my dance moms level stage moms. They are embarrassingly effusive. That said, they're also my most trusted partners and the people I go to first with anything creative I touch. And I'm the person they each go to first. That reciprocal creativity and support has been one of my life's greatest and most fulfilling gifts. When they loved and signed off on the pages, I felt good to send them to you. They asked what you thought specifically after. They checked in so many times. I told them that you laughed a bunch and said it's probably a blend, but you appreciate my passion so much. Which of course didn't feel great for me, or them, to have my passion be praised instead of any specific contribution. Or even just that you didn't like the pages, which was fine also. So I think they wanted you and me to see how they felt about the work because they've been by my side for far too many experiences where I've been overlooked. I spoke to you about this when we first met. They've watched me handwrite scripts because the director is too afraid to send the FDX file, yet he scans and has someone hand type all 120 pages of my pencil rewrites. They've watched me be hired as a writer and paid a significant fee for it, but on the condition that I never ask for credit, which I could give a shit about. It's more the principle of the dynamics at play. They've watched the other side of it too, where I'm told at signing on that I'm wanted as a true collaborator, but once we get to work, I'm really just wanted as a yes man, audience, and actor. Both Ryan and Redacted have established themselves as absolute titans as writers and storytellers outside of their primary gig, just singing or just acting, or Redacted just directing. I'm so lucky to have them as creative barometers, but also to have them as the people who prop me up and make sure I'm seen for all I can do, seen for all I can and do, offer, my bad, because they know firsthand all I contribute. They also know I'm not always as good at making sure I'm seen and utilized for fear of threatening egos or fear of affecting the ease of the process. They don't give a shit about that, and because of that, everyone listens to them with immense respect and enthusiasm. So I guess I have to stop worrying about people liking me. If you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll appreciate that I'm Khaleesi, and like her, I happen to have a few dragons. For better or worse, but usually for better. Because my dragons also protect those I fight for, so really we all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine. You will too, I can promise you. I don't know about that. So this is the text that this voicemail is in response to. Now I'm going to break down some of my thoughts on this voicemail for you guys, so we're going to play it. If I keep saying voicemail, it's by mistake. It was a voice note, which if you send a voice note from your iPhone, it shows up in the text thread. So like both people have it on their phones. So it's not like he like somehow retrieved a voicemail that he sent her in her voicemail inbox. I just get those two words mixed up sometimes.
Hey, Blake. It is 2 a.m. Hopefully this does not wake you up. Whew.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure she had texted him at kind of like a weird or late hour, so I don't know why people would be up in arms about the 2 a.m. thing. Honestly, it's just not that deep to me. My phone's always on silent anyways. Like, nobody's waking me up at 2 a.m. with texts. I understand that's probably different for some people, but, you know, it's just my opinion that it's not that big of a deal.
Wow. There's so much I want to say to you, and I hope that we can FaceTime or see each other in person soon and get to talk more. But I'm just going to send you a few thoughts, and hopefully it's not going to be more than a few minutes. But I don't have the best track record. I don't think either one of us have the best track record for our voice memos. I want to start with an apology.
Okay, so it seems like there's been some voice memos back and forth. So maybe it's not out of character for either of them to send a voice memo to each other. So maybe we could all chill about that. I don't know.
Reading the second part of your message, my heart sank, and I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short, and you worked really hard on that, and the way you framed it, and how that made you feel. I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me. That takes a lot of trust and vulnerability, and I feel really grateful that you feel safe enough to tell me that that's how you feel and share that with me. And I'm really sorry.
I'll say this. It does sound like a lot of placating, but I also think if you're working with someone who's difficult and you're a people pleaser, this could kind of be the result of that. I mean, even if she wasn't a difficult person to work with, it's like a lot of us just don't want to hurt people's feelings. And sometimes we go a little overboard and trying to like make up for it or trying to make sure they still feel good and stuff like that. So this doesn't have to be like a condescending or love bomby thing, you know? Does that necessarily mean it was handled in a way that was healthy for their working relationship, that they had really good communication about how each other actually felt about the writing and the directing relationship? No. But I tend to err on the side of this sounds like somebody who's trying to be supportive, maybe a little too hard where he shouldn't be. I really feel like, and I understand people's opinions that like he didn't really have a choice, but I really do wish that as a director, he would have kind of put his foot down earlier on. And I know there are people who say like, of course he couldn't do that, but you know, that's just, again, that's my thought. I wish that he could have put his foot down earlier on.
I f***ed up. That is a fail on my part. One thing you should know about me is I will admit and apologize when I fail. I am far from perfect. I'm a very flawed man, as my wife will attest. And and I'm going to f*** up. I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to put my foot in my mouth. I'm going to piss you off probably, but I will always apologize. And and find my way back to center. That is one thing I can assure you of. And I'm sorry I made you feel that way. That must have felt terrible. And I will for sure do better. That was not my best weekend, and I should have given it more time. And damn right, you got great friends if that's how you felt and they knew that. And we should all have friends like that, aside from the fact that they're two of the most creative people on the planet.
You know, in some of these like bleeps over the words, it's like I actually don't even know which curse word he's trying to use there. Like there's a couple places where he could be using anything, you know? And like you kind of know, you kind of fill in the gaps there, but like I don't know, maybe my brain just goes to weird places and inserts weird curse words because I think it's funny. Anyways, moving on.
Planet. The three of you guys together is unbelievable. Talk about energy and just a force, all three of you. But I just wanted you to know that I didn't need that because it's really good and it's going to make the movie sing like you said. And I'm excited to go through the whole movie with you. You know, I think you and I have been trying to build a relationship, which I think we've done successfully. I mean, here we are talking like this, me into my phone at 2 a.m, but largely via text and voice note. And that, I will be honest with you, that is not my biggest strength. I love being with people and being in somebody's space and being face to face. And
now some people will say they're creeped out by this. Personally, I kind of get it. Like I don't love relationships that are largely about text and stuff like that. Like I understand there's people we, you know, have to talk to mainly over text because we all live far apart and we've made friends who don't live near us, and because of the internet we're able to keep in touch. But if I have a relationship where I am able to have an in-person conversation, I'm probably going to take that opportunity. I would rather do that than send a text or a voice note. Whereas, and honestly, like if you have the choice to have a deep and important conversation with someone in person, I prefer to do that. I think that it's just more, I don't know. I don't want to say it's totally impersonal to like have an important conversation over text, but especially if you think you're going to like hurt someone's feelings or something like that. I just think sometimes, in my opinion, again, guys, these are just my opinions. I think sometimes it's better to just like be there with that person and like really it just helps understand each other better when you're like kind of sitting face to face and you can see that person's kind of reactions and how they seem to be responding to things. And if something's bothering them, like you can pick up on that. And I don't know, just stuff like that. And just like I care enough to sit down and talk to you about this. But it kind of sounds like they had a lot of text and voice note conversations to where he would rather have met in person. That's what it sounds like. I wasn't there, so I don't know. I don't think that's creepy at all.
I feel like that's where I excel, and definitely fallen short at times in our text and voice note exchanges because there's so much to communicate and there's so much happening. And all that to say, I'm just really looking forward to spending time together. And I think that's going to really go a long way for our chemistry, which I believe is there and has been there from the start. So I was so damn excited when you want to do this film. I felt it in the room when we met. And yeah, I think it does come from the both of us being so fucking hardworking and having a vision and not settling. And I'm excited to have a creative partner in that with you. And it's just really exciting. There's so much more to say. There's so much I want to say. And there's one thing that I do need to say, which is I am so sorry you have been through what you've been through with these other filmmakers and producers or whoever the people were that you worked with.
And people think this is like disingenuous. And I think this is part of why some people call it love bombing. It's because they're using that word improperly here. Like, again, it really does feel like there's a lot of placating going on here. But this is not what love bombing is. This is not what gaslighting is. And I think we also could just be seeing two people having an emotional reaction to a project that they've put a lot of time, a lot of effort into. I feel like, you know, I've never been an actor really, unless you count the school plays. But I don't want to talk about that. But I imagine if you were playing a character, investing so much of yourself into a character over such a long period of time, I feel like that could kind of really kind of pull at your heartstrings a little bit if you feel like something's not going right, if you feel like it's not being handled the way you'd like it to be handled. So I kind of understand either person having a reaction to something in the script or wanting to have more involvement in the script. The thing is, I feel like you gotta keep to your roles and put your foot down and establish those boundaries early on. And I feel like those boundaries were never really enforced. And then it got messy. I'm sensing a lot of emotions taking over, and not necessarily maybe anyone going in with nefarious intentions, but like of getting very emotional and invested in seeing like, this means so much to me. I want to have control of this. Because it's got to be hard giving so much emotional real estate to something and like not having control over it at all. If you're, Blake, who wants to be writing the script and wants to be part of the directing conversation, but isn't. So I kind of understand where some of the overstepping is coming from. But in my opinion, in my view, it was still overstepping and it needed to stop.
It just me off. Those heads that I'm just still kind of blown away.
I'm sorry. Again, I'm just putting the most disgusting, like, profane words possible into those little bleeps, and I feel like they're having a different conversation in my head than they are to you, the viewer. So, we're gonna pretend that's not happening.
This is the industry that we're in, and that you've experienced that as a woman. And I know I don't need to say it, but that's not at all going to be, or will be, and hopefully it's not been the experience with me. There's nothing more exciting to me like that. I get to work with Blake Lively and have her, all of her. I mean, that's what I want. And so there's been no hesitancy with me sending you the final draft file. I am totally fine with that. The only reason I didn't send it today was because I was trying to implement and add your notes into my working draft, which is already like, I'm all over that draft right now. So there's a whole bunch of new stars.
So I think, just going back a couple of seconds, when he said something about like having Blake Lively and having all of her, I think people who like think he's creepy are kind of latching onto that. I don't really take it in a way that they are probably taking it. Like, they're probably taking it in a gross, like, I want you kind of way. But like, I don't really think that's what he meant. He seems like obviously a very creative guy who's very involved with his work, very passionate about his work. I really do think that he was talking about her as an actress and not being creepy. So, especially knowing that like she would probably just play that voicemail or voice note right in front of her husband. Like, I don't think he would come out and do that. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
That are going to be collated pages. And I just haven't had a chance to send it to you, but there's no hesitancy. I'm happy to send it to you. And I'm sorry that has happened to you before. And I hope after this experience, there will be a new, I don't know. I hope it'll be healing in some way. That's all I want. I want this movie to be healing. I want this movie to be commercial, just like you, and affect people and touch people. And I want to walk you through my whole plan and the work that we're doing with the domestic violence partner that we found, no more, and just my vision. And I just know that this can be really, really special, and it's going to be special. And you're the secret sauce, and we're the secret sauce.
Man, a little cringy, but a little cringe, it doesn't usually hurt anybody. So somebody said that to me, I'd probably let them down gently. I don't really like condiments that much. Occasional barbecue sauce or ketchup is not going to kill me, but I'm not trying to be all up in the sauce with somebody. Not really sure where I was going with this.
And anyways, I have so much more to say. I'm going to stop rambling because Jesus Christ, it's been 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So me. I'm sorry. You probably have kids all over you. And
I can't tell you my interpretation of those bleeps because YouTube will be mad at me if I use those words.
Baby on your boob and you're listening to me ramble at 2 a.m. I hope you're feeling better, and give Ryan my love. Thank you for sending me that. It means the world to me that you trust me with your feelings and your thoughts like that. And I can't wait to spend more time with you. Okay, I'm done cutting myself off. Good night.
All right. So like I said, I feel like that was a lot of placating. I do also feel like he's kind of genuine at some points and just like wanting them to have a decent working relationship. Saying like, I'm glad you trusted me to share your feelings and stuff like that. Like, maybe he really does feel that way. Maybe he really is glad that they're just talking about it, like openly saying what she's feeling rather than just like him trying to guess why she's acting a certain way or why she's seems different to him or something like that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like I said, none of us were there. I can only speculate, just like everyone else. Even, people who come in my comment sections and are like, you're a sheep or whatever, like they're speculating as well. Like none of us are, better than anyone else in this situation. So maybe let's calm down. And if it really bothers you that much, then bah. So anyways, this is one example of why I feel like this is being blown out of proportion and why improper therapy terms are being used to describe this voicemail. Like I said, I'm not going to insult this doctor. I have no knowledge of how she is in like everyday life. I've never been a patient of hers. I've never been a colleague of hers. I can't speak to her life or who she is as a person at all. I want to make that very clear. I'm just simply disagreeing with her opinion here and just kind of the way a lot of people handle therapy topics on TikTok in general, but it's not personal, so hopefully nobody's taking it that way.
I literally feel nauseous over that voicemail that Justin Baldoni's team just leaked. That was so performative. That was
Nauseous over that, really? Like even I cringed a little bit at the sauce comment and stuff like that, but it's just like he seems to be kind of like a cringy dad or something. It didn't make me feel nauseous by any means. And I don't even like condiments, like I said. So if you're feeling nauseous, what? But I don't know. I think that's a little overblown, but all right, let's keep going.
so intrusive. Leaving a voicemail for somebody with 4 babies at 2 a.m. to make sure that your voice is heard because you.
Okay, so again, I just want to address that. I believe that she had sent him a very late text not too long before that. And also, it's really not that, I don't think it's invasive at all, given, she had sent a long text about her feelings. And of course, he wants to respond and have her hear him out. Like, why wouldn't he? Because she's saying, like, basically something that he did made her upset. So, of course, he wants to be heard. Because that's not what he meant to do. And obviously you can see how hard the guy is trying to like placate her. So it's really like, hey, I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings and thank you so much for sharing that with me. And you can argue that he's a little, you might think he's odd or cringy, but using words like invasive, gaslighting, love bombing, that's not it, man. It's just not it.
You don't want to talk to him, but he certainly got his way right in there. And
what do you mean you don't want to talk to him? She sent. Do you see how long the message was that he was responding to there? Like, okay.
To her phone, and then to have to hear his voice for that long, the tone of his voice, the lack of fluctuation.
Nah, that's too much. That's doing way, way too much. I think people like really, really read into like body language and voice cadence and fluctuation, all that stuff too much. I'm sorry, but we're imperfect people. We're all different. Also, our methods of deception detection are actually not that accurate. So whenever I hear somebody say this person's guilty just based on body language or guilty just based on their tone or, vocal fry or whatever, I'm sorry, but that's not enough for me. So fluctuation of the voice, body language, these are things that are not an exact science. Even when it comes down to something like as serious as polygraphs, it's generally not considered totally reliable. I think you guys will probably notice, like, a lot of times when other people are bringing up, in the cases I've followed, such as the Laura Owens case, if people start talking about vocal fry, they start talking about, her, look at her body language and stuff like that. I'm like, that's not enough for me. Sorry. Like, people have different reactions to different things. People's, the tone of his voice, the tone and fluctuation of voice, it could be changed by something just as simple as this guy is tired at 2 a.m. Not to mention, I just totally disagree. I think his voice sounded fine to me. He sounded like totally normal.
Odd devotion to the togetherness or to the pairing of them made me so uncomfortable. I don't know. Have you ever been in a relationship where you've experienced?
They're not in a relationship, first of all. Second, what? I didn't get that at all, really. I mean, again, I feel like it was a lot of placating, but I didn't get that impression at all that he was like obsessed with their togetherness. I don't know, man. Like this seems like a lot of kind of random speculation and a lot of projecting things into this voice note that weren't really there. Again, that's just my opinion. Like, I disagree with her take. Don't know who she is as a person. Want to be very clear about that.
This from someone I would love to hear. There was gaslighting, there was triangulation, there was
what? Triangulation is like having an outside party involved in an issue in like a relationship between two people. That could be somebody who's there to like mediate conflict, but it could also be somebody who's there to kind of control things for one side. So if we're talking about triangulation, I think maybe it's the woman who brought in two of the most famous people in our country to reinforce what she wanted for the script and for the writing, whatever it was. I think if there's any triangulation, it's coming from that end. Where was the gaslighting? Please tell me where the gaslighting was. I didn't hear anything in that voice note that was emotionally abusive or designed to make someone question their own reality. This is a very serious thing that happens to people in emotionally abusive relationships. Throwing that into the mix here is wild. That's why I really do feel like she's just saying words without actually applying them to the situation at all.
There was minimizing. There was extreme love bombing.
Extreme love bombing. So this would be like early on in a relationship. If somebody's like basically saying you're the best thing that's ever happened and like treating you so well and like giving you all these like crazy compliments before they even really get to know you. They're giving these sweeping declarations of love. They're very attached to it at an unhealthy degree. They want you, they want to be with you all the time, nonstop. They're ignoring your own like boundaries and commitments, and they're trying to drag you away from other people in your life. Most importantly, someone who's love bombing you is going to get upset when you're spending time with someone else. They're going to get upset if you draw a healthy boundary and try to enforce that boundary. All of a sudden, they're very critical and they're pointing out your flaws all the time. All of a sudden, they're cold and distant. They're unreasonably jealous, and you can usually see them acting in other ways that are abusive. So to say this 6 minutes of a nice, calm voice note sent to somebody regarding their work and trying to talk through the feelings that that person had shared with them, and you call it love bombing, that's super irresponsible. Again, I'm only talking about the context of this one video from this person. I haven't watched her content otherwise. I'm saying using these kind of violent or abusive terms to describe a very tame voice note is way overdoing it.
There was a push towards a honeymoon period. There was a dream of them together.
Like she's just saying, like, again, she's just saying stuff now. Like none of that happened. This is kind of coming out of nowhere, dude.
A joke about sexually explicit things, juices. He seemed very.
Did anyone hear a joke about sexually explicit juices? Because I didn't. Was she talking about the breastfeeding thing? I mean, mothers breastfeed, and he's acknowledged that she's, got a baby, and she's probably like really busy with that, taking care of the damn baby. Like, I don't really think that was a sexual thing at all. God damn, like this is just so much to project onto what was honestly kind of harmless, in my opinion.
Comfortable apologizing, and seems like he's been doing it a lot and has done it a lot in the past, and there's a lot to apologize.
Were you there? Were you there? I didn't get any of that. Like I said, like it's okay to acknowledge you're not a perfect person, you make mistakes, but you're gonna try to do better. That does not indicate abuse, at least not in this context. I mean, sure, if somebody's like constantly berating you and then saying, "Oh, sorry, I'm not perfect, I'll do better," then yeah, that's a pattern and that's a problem. But that's not what's happening here. We got 1 6-minute voice note of a guy pretty much just placating the person he has to work with.
Is not wanting this voicemail. He is saying he's sending it because she's not communicating with him. Line me up. I want all of Blake Lively, and to use both her names.
Okay, no, this is too much. This is way too much. Using someone's first and last name, it's like, that's way too much. You know why he was using those names? It's because, like, obviously Blake Lively, he thinks is a big deal, like, as an actress and as a star. Some people can disagree with that, but he, again, is placating to her, saying, like, oh my gosh, I get to work with Blake Lively. This is so cool. Like, that's not a weird, creepy, abusive thing. Like, that's...
Lively, and to use both her names, apologize for. And again, she is not wanting this voicemail. He is saying he's sending it.
Also, she says that Blake doesn't want this voice note, but it's very clear from what I'm hearing that they've been sending notes back and forth and texts back and forth.
Because she's not communicating with him. Line me up. I want all of Blake.
She is communicating with him. Like I said, she sent a message to him that was very long and very involved shortly before this voice note was sent.
I'm going to add a little spin that Candace Owens and others have not. I'm going to say that Justin was going after her. She wanted nothing to do it, and Ryan Reynolds was pissed off.
You're spinning out with that one.
He is demonstrating a cycle. A cycle. You know the cycle.
How? You got one voice note. How? Where are you getting all that from? Again, it's just my opinion that the way some internet psychologists use these words is wildly irresponsible. It confuses people who don't really know what they mean. And it's honestly a little bit hard to watch that because I know a lot of people who have, been in situations where they had disagreements or they were upset and they still have, emotional hangups about that, will see stuff like this and really believe that somebody's abusing them based on this 6-minute voice note. And that's a little dangerous. That can really mess up somebody's relationship and their outlook on their relationships in general. Because when you apply big words like that to situations involving people you don't know, based on just this clip, this wasn't like a series of voice notes where this guy's kind of all over the place and, progressively like complimenting and being overly like lovey and stuff like that and praising her constantly. And then all of a sudden he's turning around and being like, you're a piece of crap. I want nothing to do with you. I can't believe I didn't hire another actress. That's not true. He's like consistently, like I said, seems to be consistently placating her. So I do wish that internet psychologists would be way more careful with the way they throw these terms around online. If the evidence is there, the evidence is there, but a lot of times it's just not. If there was evidence showing that he did in fact gaslight her, that if he did lie and you have evidence to prove that something he said in his message wasn't true, and he did try to convince her that she was crazy for not believing it, that would be gaslighting. That would be something I could understand. And that's when it's appropriate to bring in that term. But this, I feel like this is just projecting way too much onto this short clip. And that is just my opinion. Thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It will really help out my channel. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I'd love to hear why, because it's important to hear other people's perspectives, but do so respectfully, please, in the comments. See you next time.